Here I thought a pony from a stable would not know anything about the stars. So, the walk to the kingdom was long, but only because I had to explain our stupid situation yet again to some pony I didn't know. I also had the pleasure of explaining who I am and what I do in the Mojave Wasteland, which brought up some more annoying subjects such as my great triumphs and failures. So, you want to get to Saints Parish and save your friend. I'll be completely honest with you, I'm surprised. Saints Parish doesn't have much going on. It's cut off from the rest of the area because of the giant wall. Yeah, I do. But what's this about a giant wall? I asked. He looked a little annoyed at my question. Maybe he's tired of explaining things like I am. A long time ago, both cities were settled together after a war. However, after some time passed, they both started to disagree on some things. Annapolis wanted to take in zebra refugees and let them live there freely, while Saints Parish wanted them to stay out of their city. Being explained like that, it sounds racist, but in reality, it was actually better for Saints Parish in the long run. Shortly after said dispute, Annapolis fell into ruin than it was already before the war. The refugees, I guess, held grudges against ponies and decided to kill the city leaders and take over. The city's fine now, if you can call a crime-riddled place like that fine. Some raiders and other forms of gangs have settled there and turned the entire city into a dangerous place. Not to mention the Enclave presence throughout the city, trying to kill said raiders and gangs along with any pony that gets in their way or crosses their path. Wow. 2 cities divided by a wall. What's Saints Parish like? He shrugged. It's alright. Not as much Enclave presence as Annapolis, because they don't really need it. The citizens don't like the Enclave, but they don't do anything against them because they know there's no point in fighting them. Although the radio pony makes it sound, I speak out against them quite a bit. I haven't heard any of the radio ponies speak out against the Enclave directly, besides when they talk about things that I've done. DJ Pony and Mr. New Pegasus seem pretty unbiased when it comes to factions like the Enclave, I remarked. DJ Pony and Mr. New Pegasus? I haven't heard those names in a while, he said. I gave him a puzzled look. Then, how would you hear anything on the radio? I thought at least DJ Pony reached everywhere in the wasteland. He smiled. Nope. The only radio ponies you'll hear out here are Poker Chip, Bitmap, and Kitty. Poker Chip used to be the radio host in New Pegasus. They all host the Up and Atom show every day. And you should give them a listen sometime. You might enjoy them. Nah, I'm not that much of an early riser. With a name like Up and Atom, I'm pretty sure it's a morning show? I asked. It was then that he gave me a laugh. The ha-ha, you're stupid laugh. And said, it's not a morning show. If it was, no one in the Mill City wasteland would learn any common sense about the area that they live in. It plays at different times throughout the day. There's those other guys that do the similar show on a different channel, but they're basically all spurt out different bullshit and copy stories from segments of Up and Atom. Because of his jackass reaction, I gave him my best fuck you grin I could muster. Oh, thanks for the info. I'll be sure to check them out sometime. I just hope they're not like DJ Pony and blow things out of proportion, like I'm one of the best things to ever happen at the Wasteland. Except for that one time that he emphasized on. Aura rolled her eyes. He's not that bad. Just over-enthusiastic. McNutt snickered. If you ask me, he's gotta be on something good to be that enthusiastic on the radio. Laser just shrugged. For me, DJ Pony is a flavorful with his words. Keeps me interested. I'd like to meet him someday. I enjoy him. I suppose everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's mine. Cutter gave us all a strange look. You guys are kind of harsh sometimes, aren't you? I smiled. You could say that. DJ told the whole wasteland that I was the one who destroyed Appleton. Asshole didn't even say that I did it by accident until later. Why he couldn't get all his facts first before reporting, I don't know. He smirked. Not to worry. Poker Chip, Bitmap, and Kitty get their facts straight before reporting on anything that happens around here. It keeps Up and Atom more credible than Mill City Talk News. So, I wouldn't worry about getting any bad recognition around here unless there are ponies who actually listen to MCNT. While they were talking, I didn't even notice we were almost at what I assumed was the kingdom. The weirdest part about the whole thing was that he said that they had an emperor. Don't kingdoms usually have kings, and queens for that matter? From the outside, the settlement itself looked huge. It was like they moved into a destroyed town and brought it to life again. At least most of it. This place looks like it used to be a town of some sort. Yeah, back before this war, the city of Rainchester. It was one of the smaller yet highly populated cities in the area, he explained. If this place has an emperor, then why is it called the kingdom? I continued to satisfy my curiosity. He sighed like he didn't want to explain anything for the 1000th time, like he did with the Twin Cities. It's called the kingdom because that's what it was a long time ago. Since then, other settlements have decided to be part of the emperor's rule, so now it's more of a small empire. We still mainly call it the kingdom because that's what the name's always been. Why change the name of a place after everyone in the area knows it as the kingdom? Plus, they could get it confused with the Crystal Empire if we just call it the Empire. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, I said, thinking that it also just made the citizens and rulers sound lazy. I was going to ask where we were going to stay when Wingnut decided to blurt out. So what does everyone do for fun out here? For fun. You do know that we live in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, right? Cutter replied. Wingnut shrugged. Yeah, and? Doesn't mean you can't have fun. Cutter sighed. Not really much anything, kid. The only fun we Slednecks have is blowing shit up in the middle of nowhere. I guess you can count the dances the Empress likes to show now and then. Sledneck? Windthrasher asked. He smiled. It derives from the term redneck, but since this particular area gets really frickin' cold in the winter, we call ourselves Slednecks up here. Okay, maybe coming up here wasn't such a good idea. The ponies here were weirder than the ponies in New Pegasus. Next thing we know, he's going to start talking about other weird things, like jumping into frozen lakes for fun. That's, interesting, I guess, I said with a forced smile. We approached the entrance to the large settlement to meet two guard ponies. They were both stallions in ordinary combat armor. But when they spoke, I almost couldn't believe my ears at their thick northern accent. Well, hey there, hi there, ho there. Looking for passage into the kingdom? Aura quickly jumped forward at him. What did you just call me? The one on the left quickly put up his hooves in defense. Whoa there! Didn't mean to hurt your feelings. All I was doing was saying hi. That must be what I look like when I make myself out to be an ass. Aura, we're in a new place with a strange new thing. Maybe you can calm down the hostility a bit? She turned and looked at me like she wanted to punch me square in the face for calling her out on her quickness to violence. In face you've forgotten. I'm a bit irritable sometimes around idiots. The other guard pony on the left spoke up. Oh yeah, he's an idiot all right. He always saying stupid greetings like that. I told him he'd offend some pony someday, don't you know? The fuck did he just say? Don't I know what? I asked. Cutter interrupted. It's just a figure of speech. He wasn't really asking you a question. Aura scoffed. That's a dumb expression if you ask me. The one on the right had an awkward look as he said, So, you looking to get into the kingdom or what? 'Cause we can let you in if you're with Cutter here. Yes, we'd like to enter, I replied. The one on the left opened the metal gate and said, Well, okie dokie then. Enjoy your visit to the kingdom. Oh, and before I forget, if you head anywhere north of here, and when you leave, watch out for timberwolves. Well, that's the new weird creature number 1 on the list of our tour guide book I'm sure Windthrasher will author when we get back home. Thanks. I'll keep an eye out for any on the way to the Twin Cities. As soon as I walked past the gate, I saw a bustling town of ponies, some griffins, and zebras. A lot of the buildings actually looked like they'd been refurbished some, so it didn't look so dumpy, unlike Freedom where everything still looked run down and broken. I saw shops and stands selling merchandise, restaurants serving ponies, and foals playing with each other in the streets. This must have been what it was like 200 years ago. No, more than that. This must have been what it was like before conflict of any kind arose between Equestria and other nations. It was wonderful. A sight to behold for the rest of our lives. Sure, New Pegasus had its lights and attractions, but this place was real. A place that wasn't just a big gambling attraction. It was home for real hard-working, down-home Equestrians to live in peace and prosperity. I couldn't believe the wasteland would let a place like this exist without making it somewhat terrible. I didn't even see a single drunk, junkie, or starving foal living on the streets anymore. This place is amazing. Yeah, you could say that. Unlike most settlements in the wastelands, Pony here actually get along pretty well. There aren't any gangs, factions, or otherwise. Just citizens. Cutter explained. How the hell did your emperor manage that? Nora asked. He smiled and let out a chuckle. Let's just say because of his strange yet kind nature. So he's a freak? Wingnut blurted out. No, he's not a... Yeah, he's kind of a freak. He's into strange things like buttering toast before you toast it and leaving bits by every door in his house, Cutter replied. Bits by every door? I asked. It's a superstition that ponies around here have had for years. Something about good luck or something. I don't know, he explained. Doorstop finally broke his silence and asked, A lot of stripes around here. Thought you said stripes are the reason Winopolis was so bad, right? Laserlight glared at Doorstop with his racial slur. Goodness, Doorstop. You want to show a little restraint with your words? Doorstop glared back with a smirk. Nope, I'm a military pony. You should know that better than anyone else here. Laser got upon her hind hooves and pointed a forehoof back at Doorstop, opening her mouth as if to say something, but then shut it instead, going back to sit on all fours. You know what? I am going to argue with that, Doorstop. Doorstop's smirk went wider. It's because you know I'm right. Cutter kinda stammered a bit as he replied, It's a bit different here. Also, please refrain from using derogatory terms around here. The zebras here aren't like most of the ones in the city. All they want to do is live peacefully alongside of us. Laser rose a hoof and smacked the back of Doorstop's head. I had a very good zebra friend back when I was adventuring the equestrian wasteland, Doorstop. She was a very loyal friend. I learned a good deal of zebra history and traditions from her. If she is still alive, I'm pretty sure she would knock you out good too. Doorstop grumbled. Fine, I'll watch my tongue. But I don't mean I'm going to be nice to any of them. Well, you'd better be nice to at least one of them. The Emperor's wife, Cutter responded. Ora snickered. Way to make an ass out of yourself, Sarge. I ignored my friends as I asked Cutter. So the ponies who run the kingdom are actually zebras? He shook his head. No, the Empress is a zebra. The Emperor is an earth pony. That's just all kinds of wrong, Doorstop said. Next thing you know, griffins are going to start getting with ponies. What the hell is this world coming to? Ora moved behind Drillstop and punched him in the back of the head. I'd watch what you say about who loves who, asshole. Let's just say I have a bad habit of making mares out of stallions who don't keep their mouths shut. You're lucky I'm here to help ya, or I'd rip your tiny little feathers piece by piece, Griffin. Doorstop shouted. I'd like to see you try, Ora retorted. For Luna's sake, stop it, both of you, I yelled, glaring at them both. Ora just rolled her eyes and walked away. Fine, but make sure he shuts up before we get cacked out of here. He will. Won't you, Sarge? Fine, he said, looking back to Cutter. So, as you were saying, the Empress is a zebra? Yes. She's one of the reasons this place works out as well as it does. She's one of the kindest mares you'll ever meet. But she also won't be held back from poking her nose into your business. She has a curiosity like nothing else. She loves finding answers to puzzles and problems. She also hates fighting. She decreed years ago that if two ponies have a problem, they are to bring it to her or the Emperor, so they can help resolve it, Cutter said, leading us down the road towards a large house, which laid in the middle of the city. Okay, large was an understatement. The place was huge. It was built out of an old world city hall, after all. I wonder how the Twin Cities looked.
What is this place?
Windthresher asked, her eyes getting big at the sight of the gigantic house. It's the Emperor's home. It used to belong to some kind of noble back in the day. That's where the kingdom first started, he said as we moved towards the large gate that blocked the courtyard from the rest of the city. That's a big place for two ponies, well, pony and zebra, I guess, to live, Mora said. Cutter laughed. Kinda. But they aren't the only two that live there. Most of the guard ponies do too, along with some of the court and guests of the kingdom. Tripwire and I had to stay outside the city with a family when we came here, Mora said. Depending upon who you were working with, that isn't too surprising. The Traders Guild here doesn't like to keep its headquarters in the mansion, Cutter said. We walked through the gates and into the courtyard. As we did, a mare's voice floated to us from across the yard. It was undoubtedly a zebra's voice.
Cutter, is that you?
Looking over, I saw a zebra standing next to a broken statue of Celestia and Luna. I couldn't pull my eyes away from her, and like most zebras I've met, she didn't have her mane in a mohawk. She let it grow long and hang down past her shoulders, with one small braid on the left side of her head. She wasn't tall, but she made up for that by how she composed herself. Her almond-shaped turquoise eyes were breathtaking. She was wearing a dress that flowed like waves of an ocean and matched her eyes. Cutter stopped and bowed. Empress, I didn't know you'd be out in the courtyard at this time of day. She smiled and laughed a little.
Cutter, you know I love getting away from the mansion when I can. Any time is a good time to stroll out here. Who are your friends?
I stepped forward. My name is Shadowstar. I'm a courier for Equestrian Express out of Cartwheel, near New Pegasus. These are my friends, Aura, Wingnut, Windthresher, Laserlight, and the big guy's doorstop, I said, introducing them in turn.
I bet he has no trouble keeping doors from closing. What an interesting name. It is nice to meet you, Shadowstar. I am Empress Sheena. Welcome to the kingdom and my home,
she said with a wonderful smile. They were attacked by Envy just outside of town. They were on their way to Saint's Parish to find a friend. Their sky carriage was damaged severely, Cutter said.
Envy? We have not seen him in a long time. Why was a member of the Sins attacking you, Shadowstar?
Empress Sheena asked as she looked back at me.
She killed two of the Sins, Gluttony and their leader Pride. They've been hunting her down for that and trying to get that pip buck she has,
Aura said.
I see. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about the Sins while you stay here with us in the kingdom. The Enclave leaves us alone for the most part out here, and they do not dare let one of their Sins enter our lands,
the Empress responded. I'm not so sure that's the case now, Empress. Envy seemed to be hell-bent on killing her. He said something about the Enclave not caring about our borders, Cutter said, sounding concerned.
That is not good news to hear, Cutter. I will have to tell the guard patrol to keep an eye out for them. Would you be willing to speak with the patrol captains about this threat for me? She asked.
He bowed again. Consider it done.
Thank you. I will be sure to show our new guests where they can stay for now. That is, if they were planning on staying,
Sheena said, looking back at my friends and myself. We hadn't thought that far yet. We all took a beating in the crash, and the sky carriage was destroyed. I'm not sure how we can make it to Saint's Parish now, I said.
I may be able to help you with that. Even though we do not get along with the Enclave, our town does trade with Saint's Parish. You can ride among one of the caravans going there tomorrow. It is a little far from here, but not too far. As for your sky carriage,
Sheena said, turning towards Cutter, who was getting ready to head back out.
Cutter, could you also send somebody to retrieve it as well, so we can have it repaired, please?
Will do. I'll send that new Pegasus with some of his friends to get it out.
That'd be nice of you and all. but we don't have a whole lot of caps. I'm not sure we can afford to have it fixed.
Aura said. Do not worry about caps. Consider it a gift, Sheena said with a soft smile. My husband and myself have plenty of caps. There is no problem.
Sure. And what's the catch?
Aura asked. She blinked. I am not sure what you mean. Did I not say it was a gift?
There's always a catch when it comes to so-called gifts,
Aura snarked. She started to laugh. Maybe where you come from. But here we do not do that kind of thing. It seems the vices of New Pegasus have made the surrounding settlements greedy.
Then why would you just help us out like that?
Aura retorted. Ponies here in the Northland help one another, and do not expect anything from it return, because they just want to help out in any way they can. I also like to help those in need, and you were also attacked outside my borders. The skies around the kingdom should always be safe for traveling ponies or griffins like yourselves. And it is not, she said.
Okay then. But if you turn around and say we owe you one, then too bad.
It will not be a problem. Now, how about you come inside and relax for a while? I would love to talk with you about all of you more, and I'm sure my husband will like to as well once he gets back.
You really want to take time out of your day to talk to some random ponies from out west?
Wingnut asked. I love meeting new travelers to the kingdom, when I have the time. Right now, all I am doing is nothing but waiting for my husband to return. We do not get many travelers from that way, so I would love to hear what has been going on in New Pegasus. I don't see a problem with that. It'd be nice to relax a little, I said.
Me too,
Windthrasher said happily. The Empress led us into her large home. When we first walked in, I saw the entryway was beautiful. There was a grand staircase that led up to a landing that split on each side, leading to different parts of the second floor. On the main level, I saw long hallways and doors. At the top of the landing, there were 2 large double doors, making me wonder what could be behind something so big. Sheena led us down to the left into a cozy room that had plenty of places for all of us to sit or lay down.
Damn, this place is nice. Almost as nice as the room we stayed in the Applewood,
Aura said, looking around. Thank you. This is where I like to go to get away from my normal day-to-day activities. Now that we're all alone, tell me the real reason you've come all the way out here, Sheena said as I sat down. We said before that we're looking for a friend of ours, I said. I believe you, but there is more to it than just that. Saint's Parish is not a place you go to just find a lost friend. If your friend was a pony that just ran off, he would have come here to the kingdom, not Saint's Parish. If he was captured by the Enclave, they would have taken him to Nimbus. Who is your friend you are trying to find, and why would they be in a city controlled by the Enclave?
Or let out a long sigh. I don't see the harm in telling her, Shadow. She's been very nice to us, and like I said before, you can trust the kingdom.
I agree, Shadow. If we want to get him back, we'll need help,
Windthrasher said.
I wouldn't agree with them on that one. We can't just go around telling every pony we meet about the stable,
Doorstop interrupted. Laser smacked Doorstop on the back of his head again.
Then I guess it's a good thing you're not in charge. This is her friend she's looking for, and by the sounds of it, a very good friend, if she's going this lengths to find him.
Doorstop glanced back at Laser.
Are you kidding me, Laserlight? Goddesses be damned, stop smacking me!
I looked into her eyes and sighed. My friend Stardust is a runaway from a stable around Saint's Parish area. Stable 97, which was taken over the Enclave a couple decades ago. He's been traveling with me for a little bit after I left my own stable. A couple weeks ago, the Sins captured him. They took him back to his old stable where they messed with his mind, and now he's become the new pride. Doorstop used to live in that stable before he made a Dashite. He's with us, helping to get him back.
Damn, Squirt! You can't just go around telling everybody you meet what you know about what I used to do or the stable,
Doorstop yelled. Shut up, Sarge. I'm not talking about this right now, I yelled back, glaring at him until he finally looked away. Sheena was looking at us with a small grin. You do not have to worry, Doorstop. The kingdom already knows about all the things that go on in your old home. He looked at her like she'd just slapped him.
How the fuck do you know what Stable 97 does?
The kingdom is home to a lot of Dashites. For example, Cutter used to be an intelligence officer when he was in Nimbus. When he ran away, he took some of the information that he knew about the Enclave presence down here. Luckily, when they caught up with him, the pony who branded him didn't know what he stole.
Well, damn. Here I thought the whole project was a secret,
he said a little too loudly. Nothing in the wasteland stays a secret. No matter what, sooner or later the truth finds its way to the surface, she said with another laugh. As for what you're doing here, Shadow, do you know what to expect when you go to Stable 97? No, I don't. But that's why we have doorstop, I replied.
That's right. I'm here to make sure we get the cadet back safe and sound.
And what about the rest of the ponies who call Stable 97 home? If it is as bad as I have heard, what will you do with them? Sheena asked.
Doorstop glared at her. Stable 97 is not a place to live. It's what they've been trained for the ponies to live there.
Nevertheless, once you've invaded the stable, the ponies who live there will have their lives changed forever, she said solemnly.
What do you expect us to do, huh?
Doorstop asked loudly. Calm down. I don't think I understand what she's talking about, I said, interrupting his rude outbursts. The ponies in there, at least the ones like Stardust, don't know what the world outside is like. They think that most of Equestria is dead, and the Enclave are the only ponies who can help bring it back. Us going in there is going to throw them for a loop. We have no idea how they'll react or what they'll do.
You have a point. I lived in the damn place for so long I forgot sometimes how different life out here is. Most of the trainees in there are around Shadow's age, though. I don't think that'll be a problem. It's the ponies on the upper level who are going to have to worry about,
Doorstop said. I looked around a little confused. Stardust is a few years older than me. Why would most of the ponies he trained with be so young?
I find the idea of an entire stable to be a little strange,
Windthrasher said. The drill sergeant let out a long sigh.
The first crew recruits that we had were a test. Stardust, Hailstrom were 2 of those ponies. We started out with 20 foals, and 5 showed promise after that first few years. So we started in bringing more foals to expand the program.
What happened to the other 15 foals that started out there at the same time as Stardust? I asked, not sure if I wanted to know.
They didn't make it past their first evaluation,
he replied. Wingnut looked a little sick as he asked,
What do you mean they didn't make it?
The first evaluation is done when they get their cutie marks. They have to fight for their lives. That's the only rule. Stardust, Hailstrom, and 3 others were more proficient in the test than the others, and almost killed them. Since they failed, they were cast out of the program. The Enclave wasn't happy with losing so many Pegasi after putting so much hard work into them, so they used their memory manipulation machines to reprogram their brains, so when they became of age, they'd eventually become soldiers. Since they were so young, some of them couldn't handle the strain of the machine, and had their brains fried, and either became vegetables or ended up dead.
I could see Doorstop was remembering those days, and he didn't like the memories. I didn't like to do this to him, but I had to know more. Well, I kinda liked doing this to him because he was an asshole, but it's still mean. How did they find so many foals to place in the program? Stardust told me that their parents lived in the upper levels, and that they would only be able to see them once they passed their training.
Fuck, kid. Right in the gut,
he said, looking over at me.
They were all taken away from their parents when they were born. The only ponies in that stable, apart from the recruits, are the trainers like myself, a few Enclave scientists that live in the upper levels, and a few guards. After all the foals were born, they told the parents that they didn't survive the birth. The excuse was because of some common medicine pregnant mares would take for paternal care. The Enclave claimed that there was an ingredient that could cause a fatal defect that would affect the child before or after birth.
The Empress gasped. You mean to say that they forcefully took away foals from their parents? He nodded.
Well, not all of them. Some of the younger ones were foals when they got to the orphanages. But Stardust's family came from a long line of strong soldiers. The Enclave figured that a foal from that family would be a perfect pony to join in on the program. They knew his parents wouldn't just let them take Stardust, so on the day he was born, they took him and told his parents that he didn't survive the birth like some of the others.
I was shaking with anger when I heard that. You mean they took Stardust away from his family when he was born, put him into a training program into a stable, and told him his parents were dead?
Him and a couple others, yes. They were trying to recreate an old group from before the war. They figured that if they made the perfect soldier, they could retake the rest of the Enclave and the Wasteland.
Wait. What do you mean, take the rest of the Enclave? I thought the Enclave was the Enclave.
Wingnut asked. Aura shook her head and spoke before Doorstop could.
The Enclave as a whole is really just a mix of cities fighting for power. Right now, the city with the most runs the Enclave is Navarro. It's mostly a military city that has most of its firepower of the entire Enclave. You also have Thunderhead, a cloud city over Hoofington. They aren't as militarily advanced as Navarro, but they have more unicorns and smarter Pegasi. And they also have more ponies with power armor and stronger fighters. And they know everything about building and repairing old tech, along with the ability to grow a lot of things in their cloud cities. Those two cities are always fighting for one another over this or that, but Navarro keeps them on a short leash with threats of destruction. Then you have Stratus and Nimbus. Nimbus was the city where the Enclave technically started. It's the city that Nightstalker and his team first settled down on when the war ended, but later they moved their power to Stratus. Both cities mostly keep to themselves and only share things between the two cities and refuse to work with Navarro as much as they can. Both cities together don't have enough tech or power to take on Navarro right now, but they can defend themselves against them if needed. That's why they can get away with the things that they do, like living cities on the ground. They also hold the Crystal Empire, which is rumored to have powerful unicorns that can come defend the city, if they're called on. If they had a couple hundred ponies like Stardust, they could take down Navarro in a few days. And with them gone, they'd completely rule the Enclave. If they had 1,000 ponies like Stardust, they could take over everything.
Laser looked a little distraught and silent the whole time as we were talking about the Cloud Cities, as if she was thinking about a lot of things. Before I knew it, she got up and left with no one but me noticing. I hope she's alright. It's pretty safe at the kingdom, but that doesn't stop me from worrying about her.
Doorstop nodded. She's right. For years they've wanted to take back power they've always called theirs by right.
If Nimbus was the city at the start of the Enclave, then why would Stratus think they have a right to rule it and not Nimbus? I asked.
Because the pony who first ruled over the entire military branch of the Enclave, and later all of it as a head council pony, Nightstalker, was from Stratus. They think that gives them the right to rule, and Nimbus agrees. That's why the two cities work together so much. Those Stratus ponies don't much care for ponies for Nimbus, or the settlements around it, and they call them oddballs.
Doorstop said.
Why's that?
Windthrasher asked. Sheena laughed lightly. Because ponies from around this area like being able to live on the surface if they want to. It is the only city where citizens are allowed to go below the clouds to live among other ponies on the ground. Stratus is much like the rest of the Enclave. They are scared of the surface. So from what I'm gathering, Stratus and Nimbus want to make the perfect soldier. That's why they started the program in Stable 97? I said.
That's it,
Doorstop said. How many so-called perfect soldiers have they created? I asked, trying to put some of the pieces together.
Doorstop laughed for a moment. That are still alive? 2. But Stardust is the only one that's a Stable 97 resident. Stable 97 was an advanced program. The first pony they created, they didn't want to wait for the foal to grow up. With training, like we did in the stable, they tried using magic and science instead, creating a pony that was faster, smarter, and stronger than any pony before.
And let me guess, that didn't work out so well, did it?
I asked. It did work. The pony they made was almost the perfect soldier. He only had one flaw. He was the perfect pony to send into battle to take on enemies, and no pony stood a chance against him. But he burned through his energy quickly and had to take a long rest break between fights. They were trying to find a way to fix that when he ended up killing the entire research staff. He was later called a failed project. But the Enclave doesn't like to throw away a pony they could use, if it wasn't how they thought.
From what they were saying about him, I had an idea I knew this pony. Let me guess. He was branded and made a sin? Doorstop nodded.
Yep. He became Sloth, the 5th member of the Sins. Pride himself decided that he'd be a good fit.
I shook my head. I have a feeling Envy was made the same way.
Ha! Envy? No pony knows where Envy came from. He just showed up as a colt one day with Pride. The story was that he found the colt when he was almost dead in the Badlands. He's always been able to do what he does. It's why so many ponies don't know his weaknesses. That's until we saw what Cutter did,
Doorstop said smugly.
I'll have to tell Violet about that when we get back.
I wish we had time to worry about Envy or any of the Sins. But from what I'm hearing, we need to find a way to get into the stable and to lure Stardust into it, Sheena said. Yeah, that's the point I'm still stuck on. I know that he has to know we're here because Envy found us, but I don't know if we can get him into the stable, or even if we'll be able to fix him, I said. Doorstop turned to me.
If we can get Stardust into the memory pods on the 3rd level, then we should be able to fix whatever they did.
Wait, there are memory pods? I asked.
I don't understand it all, I'm just a drill sergeant. All I know is that there are 2 pods in the re-education center on that level. It's where they take ponies like Stardust who have disobeyed orders one too many times. I also know it takes another pony who goes into the pod to run the program to rewrite memories, he said with a frown.
That still doesn't help us getting him into said pod, I said under my breath.
You'd best not be sassing me, Fruit Cup!
Damn, he heard me. I would say it's the best way to set a trap for him, Sheena said with a grin. If you find a way to lure him into the stable, and disarm him and any of the Sins he is with, all you would have to do is find a way to get him into the stable, and then put him into the pod.
Getting into the stable won't be a problem. I still have a couple ponies in there that trust me. They should be able to help us get into the re-education center. Getting out might be harder, because as soon as we're in there, the Enclave will come to kill us, Doorstop said.
If you have a way to get us in, then how would the rest of the Enclave know we're in there?
Mora asked.
Because they know whenever that place is opened up. They'll send soldiers to go in there as soon as we get in,
he replied. Do you have a way to get into contact with any of the ponies from Stable 97, Doorstop? Sheena asked.
I do,
he said with a nod. Then you should go make contact with them and see what you can do, she said, looking back at the rest of us. As for the rest of you, I will aid you in any way that I can. I will speak to my husband about all of this when he gets back. Also, as I was saying before about the ponies that still live here, if you are able to do what is needed, I would like you to try and get the ponies that are living there to come to the kingdom.
Why in the hell would you want them to join you?
Doorstop asked. Because they are Pegasi that know how to fight, but also have been lied to about the world and the Enclave. I would like to help them find a better life, and if they want, help them to find their families again. That is what we do in the kingdom. We help ponies in need, Sheena said with a smile. Doorstop returned it.
I like you, even if you are a zebra. Kinda hot, too. And I mean that with all the respect in the world. I'll be sure to see about getting the rest of the young ones to get out of there safely. It'll be a deal, a big blow against the Enclave bastards.
Yeah, now that I like, I said in agreement. Then it is settled. There is a room on the 2nd level that you may all find to your liking. I will speak with some of my guards about how we can best set a trap for Stardust. Feel free to roam around the mansion, or if you want, you can walk around the kingdom.
she said happily. I should head out and see if I can get a message to the ponies I still know in there. I'll be back by morning, though. If not, I'll give you my tag, Shorty, so you can find me. Doorstop walked over and added his tag to the Mark II. He left the room, and when he was gone, I looked at my friends. I think I'm just gonna rest. My body still hurts from the crash.
I'd like to go around and look around the kingdom,
Wingnut said.
That does sound nice,
Windthrasher agreed.
Yeah, I'd like some rest too. But if Wingnut wants to go and look around, I'll join him.
Aura sort of moaned. Windthrasher whispered something to Wingnut, and he nodded.
I'll be fine, Aura. You can stay here if you want to. I don't think I'll have to worry about anything while I'm here, and I'll have Windthrasher with me. Are you sure, boss?
Aura asked.
Yeah, go ahead and enjoy the rest of the day while you can. I'm sure tomorrow's gonna be sucky,
Wingnut said.
Well, we'll see y'all later.
Windthrasher and Wingnut both headed out the door, leaving me alone with Aura and Sheena. For some reason, I felt a little uncomfortable. The zebra was looking at the two of us with an interested expression.
So, tell me, how did a griffin from the Red Talons end up all the way out here with such an odd company of ponies?
I'm not a Red Talon. At least not anymore. But how did you know I used to be?
Aura asked. Sheena giggled a little.
You look a little like Gale. I figured you were her daughter.
Wait, who's Gale?
My aunt. The one who Gina killed? And no, I'm Gigi's youngest daughter. How do you know my family?
Sheena's face fell. I did not know about Gale's death. It has been many years since I have been in New Pegasus. I grew up out there, not far from Crimson Canyon. I know your family when your mother and sisters were around your age.
You must have belonged to that zebra tribe that used to live north of the town, just outside our home,
Aura said.
I did. I was one of that tribe. We were desert nomads in our homeland. My own tribe settled, and there were a couple of generations ago. But when the Romans came and started to get zebras to join them, most of my people left with them. The ones who didn't were killed as traitors to zebra kind. I was a young mare at the time and who was forced to join them, though back then they were not called the Romans yet. The zebra who runs them now is calling himself Caesar. He was still a colt.
Sheena said with a sorrowful look.
How did you end up here then? I asked. My husband found me one day. During that time, he was a caravan pony and traded with the zebra tribes. I wanted to get away from the new tribe I was forced to join, so when he left, I hid in his wagon, she said with a smile. He was quite surprised when he discovered me. I smiled. So you met the Emperor by stowing away in his cart? I did. He was quite shocked to find a zebra filly with his goods he had for sale. At first, he wasn't too happy at what I had done, but once I told him what happened to my tribe and family, he decided to let me stay with him. Over time, I started to learn the business and help him run his caravan. A few years later, and we fell in love. Not long after that, we found a mansion in the heart of this destroyed town. My husband decided that we should start helping ponies around here to find a safe place to live and escape the Enclave. That is how the kingdom was born. Back then, we did not have the title of king and queen, or emperor or empress. A few more years went by, and the ponies just started calling this place the kingdom. The city grew, and more ponies, zebras, and banished griffins started calling this place home. They all started looking up to my husband and I for guidance. Later, we started to have other settlements around here join us, and we became an empire, at least a small one, Sheena explained.
The Emperor must be brilliant and quite kind to get someone here to follow him, I said.
She laughed. Yes, he is very kind. Brilliant, maybe. Trust me, when you meet him, you will see that he is just a child in a stallion's body. But that is what I love about him.
How did ponies or whatever react to following a zebra pony couple?
Aura asked.
Aura, that's rude,
I scoffed.
Sheena laughed again. It was all right, Shadow. We did not have it easy when we first started out. A pony wanted to follow a zebra, and they thought the stallion who married a zebra would be a crazy pony. In the end, we showed them all how well our two races can work together. I think it's kind of sweet to see a zebra with a pony, I said. Sheena looked over at Aura. Do you have a problem with it, Aura?
No, not really. I was just wondering,
she replied. I could see why she wouldn't care herself. She used to be in love with a pony.
I think it's nice. I don't see why anyone should care who you love.
I agree with you, Sheena said. Now, you both look tired. I'll show you to your room.
Don't you have servants to do that for you?
Aura asked. I do, but I like doing things like this for myself when I can, she said, getting up from her seat and heading out of the room. The two of us followed as she led us through the grand staircase, one of the long halls that were lined with doors on each side. The former owner of this mansion used to have a lot of ponies over the one reason or another. We have plenty of space for anyone who needs to use it. Anyhow, I will be letting you stay in the guest suite. It will be have enough food for all of you. Shadow, you said you were still in pain from that crash, correct? I am, but there's nothing a good night's sleep can't cure, I responded. That is good to hear. If you wish to see a doctor or anything, the west wing of the mansion has been converted into a large clinic. We have 10 doctors on staff that can do almost anything you need to help cure you, she said.
Interesting. You have a full staff of medical ponies? Most large settlements like this only have 2 or 3.
Aura said. Not all ponies. 3 of them are zebras, she said as we reached a large set of double doors. This will be where you are staying. I will leave you two alone for now. I need to see where my husband is and check in on a few things. If you need anything, just ask any of the ponies you see wandering the halls. We'll be fine. But thank you, Empress, I said. She laughed again. Please, call me Sheena. I much prefer it. Thanks again, Sheena, I said. She gave us both another smile and turned to leave back down the hall.
So, what should we do now? Do you really think sleeping's the best plan?
Aura asked as she opened one of the doors and walked in. The room was large, with 2 separate rooms on each side. There was a large couch in the middle of the room with a table, a small kitchen on one side with a large window that overlooked the city.
I'm surprised that she's letting us stay in such a nice place,
Aura said. She's a nice mare. Maybe she just wants us to trust her.
Like I said before, from all I know, you can always trust anyone from the kingdom. It doesn't matter. Back to what I was saying before. What do you plan to do? She asked.
Honestly, I'd like a bath, I replied.
Yeah, me too. Let's see what they have,
she said, walking towards one of the rooms. It turned out to be a master bedroom with a huge bathtub and a connected bathroom. We could fit all my friends in the thing, and still have room. I walked over to it and turned on the water. I was happy to feel the hot water flowing from the nozzle, and my pit bug didn't even click once as I filled the large bath. You want to go first? She shook her head.
It's a big tub. Why wait for another to finish up when we can both relax?
It's fine by me, but last time I suggested that we bathe together, you got really embarrassed, I said.
Yeah, but I didn't know you that well back then, and I have trust issues. I have a better mindset now, but if you really want to wait till I'm done, be my guest. I'm just gonna be in here for a while,
she said, taking her saddlebags and tossing them off in the corner, and placing her energy spear next to the tub where she could easily grab it quickly if needed. Nah, I don't mind. I trust you. As I said before, we're both girls, I said, pulling off my barding and setting it down next to Aura's bags along with my own.
Whatever you say. But if I catch you staring at my ass, I'll rip your eyes out,
she said with an evil grin. She then turned and started stepping into the bath. Her words made me blush, and my eyes fell, of course, on her rear. Damn it! I looked away before she caught me, and I waited a moment for her to finish getting into the steaming bathtub. As she did, I pulled off my mane ties and let my braid fall down for the first time in a few days. I took a few pulls with my magic to get it to fully come undone. Damn, it was dirty. Once I was done, I started to step towards the bath.
Then my hoof stepped on my mane, and I tripped and fell face first on the floor. Aura chuckled a little.
Have a nice trip.
Ow. Yeah? I just tripped on my mane is all, I said, getting back up and stepping into the bath.
When's the last time you cut it? I know you like having it done up in that braid and all, but it's really long when it's down.
I let my body relax for a moment before I answered. I haven't really cut it since I got to stable 28 as a filly. Vervain used to trim it every now and then, to keep it from getting too long, but I never really let her cut it short like she wanted to.
Why not? With what you do now, it makes sense having a short mane style.
I sighed, let my body sink into the water more. I'm not really sure I want it short.
Fair enough, but I have to ask. What's with you always keeping into that loose braid all the time? You seriously freaking the fuck out of Wingnut and Stardust stole your mane ties.
When I was younger, Mom tried to get me to cut my mane short like her own. I was kind of a little shit myself back then, didn't let her do it. I ran away every time she tried to force me to. Finally, Mom came up with the braid idea, after some colts teased me about my long, messy mane. She told me I looked cuter with it in, like that, than just letting it go all over the place. When she left it was kind of a reminder of her, something I could look at every day and remember her. I would have kept trimming it, but I just haven't had the time. Aura let her body slide deeper into the water as she only let her head stick out.
Now that it's gotten so long, you can't help but trip over it, unless it's up. Soon even your braid will be too long and your mane will be getting all the way in the fight. Maybe you should think about cutting it. Maybe even think about a different mane style. You're a pretty mare, Shadow, but that braid always makes me think you're hiding behind it. Also, I kinda hate how it looks. Oh, and don't do pigtail braids because those always make the back of a mare's head look like a pony's ass.
Where does this bitch get off? I can do whatever I want with my mane. Hey, I can have an ass head if I want to, damn it. Don't judge me. She started to laugh, so hard that her back lost its grip on the bottom of the tub, and she slipped in and her ass shot straight in my face. She flailed and eventually got her head back above the water. She coughed and blew hard out of her nostrils to get the water out.
Fucking hell!
I did my best not to laugh as I said, after having one in my face, I no longer want an asshead.
If you're waiting for an apology, it's not coming,
she said with a scowl. It's fine. I don't mind. Then I realized what my mouth just said in a jumble of words that sounded dirty again. It was an accident. Shit happens. It was giving me a weird look. I needed to figure out a distraction fast. This was getting way too awkward. You want to listen to the radio? Cutter said that the radio ponies here are pretty good.
Yeah, sure. Whatever,
she replied, her eyes downcast. I went to the radio on my pip-buck and selected the channel that said Up and Atom. There was some music playing I hadn't heard before, but it sounded very good. But there was no singing, just sounds and beats. I could tell Aura was enjoying it because she was bobbing her head up and down with her eyes closed. What is this? I asked. She opened her eyes and looked at me like I was an idiot.
It's dubstep. This is one of the best artists in the genre. DJ Pony. Not the DJ from the radio in Manhattan. This was a mare. Her real name was Vinyl Scratch. She used to be the music headliner at all the big parties before and sometimes during the war.
Huh. That's cool. I like the music. It has a nice calm beat to it and you can just chill, you know? I said as the song started to come to an end. There was a soft static, and after about 5 seconds, a pony's voice came out of the radio. That was the late, great Vinyl Scratch. Up next is Up and Atom. See you there. The radio went silent again for about a minute. Then the pony's voice returned. Hello, Twin Cities. This is Up and Atom. I'm Poker Chip. I'm Bitmap. And I'm Kitty. A feminine voice followed. Poker Chip spoke again. Today, let's start off with the main issues we talked about every day. There's also some news down from the kingdom. A sound effect played that sounded like a sort of horn. I just can't get enough of that sound effect machine you fixed up, Bitmap. Yeah, I'm glad I found this thing in the back room. It's made the show much more fun to do. It gets so depressing talking about all the gang violence and the Enclave oppression in both cities.
Kitty commented. Yeah, it sure does get depressing, especially after the Enclave upped their presence at St. Parish Falls Dam. I need to get that project, protect that source of energy. But with so many soldiers, they act like they're ready for a freaking war.
Agreed, Pokerchip said. Reminds me of the situation at the dam in New Pegasus. The NLR and the Romans are always scuffling about over it. Then there's Halo 1. Don't even get me started on that place. It's always going to go through changes in management at least every other month. A few weeks ago it was controlled by the NLR, then it was taken by the Enclave. Now it's just an empty building after the Seven Sins of Equinity made an appearance. Ugh, those guys, Bitmap said mockingly. They've been showing their faces here and there again recently. One of them even attacked a Skycares that's on its way to the kingdom. I think it was Envy?
It was, Kitty interrupted. That freaks make me sick, especially how he could be any pony or anything else that he wants to change into.
I heard Pokerchip sigh. I have an IQ of 140, and I still can't figure out how he does that. I'd like to say with magic, but I'm pretty sure he's a Pegasus. And I'm pretty sure there ain't any zebra talismans that can do things like that. Speaking of zebras, there's been a spike in gang activity on the north side of Winopolis lately. That's resulted in a few senseless murders. On the bright side, at least, it's distracting the Enclave from whatever happens here in Saints Parish. I hate having to deal with their damned curfew, and the condescending attitude towards us citizens. I agree, Bitmap said. I know they've pretty much always occupied this area since they branched out of their first settlement in Winnie City, but recently it's like their holding us is getting a lot tighter.
Kitty interrupted. I swear one of these days they're going to say something about me being a griffin, and how I shouldn't be allowed in the society. If you can call it a society. It's downright oppression. I don't know why the mayor doesn't just negotiate with them and try to make life a little bit easier.
Pokerchip sighed. Not that it'd help any. The guy's just a pushover. I can't believe he actually became the mayor. Of course, it was probably the oh-so-grand Pegasus Enclave that made it so we'd get a pony like him to lead us. If we have a doormat they can push around and manipulate, they can do whatever they want to the rest of us without any qualms.
Bitmap played some more sound effects and said,
I completely agree. If only we had the ability to get some pony else in the office of mayor that's willing to do something about our Pegasus problem. I'm sure the citizens of the city would be a lot happier.
Pokerchip cleared his throat.
I think with the right leadership, we could break away from the controls of the Enclave and even retake Winopolis. It's just not the Twin Cities when there's a wall between them. A long time ago, the wall was a good idea to keep us safe from the trouble in the streets of Winopolis they bring, and it's still a good idea. But I still wish it didn't have to be here. As both of you know, Saints Parish has been facing overpopulation for quite some time, with ponies moving here from smaller settlements and the rising birth rates.
It's not that cramped, Kitty said nonchalantly. I've been to places where ponies, griffins, and whatever else are literally living on top of each other. I think it's there where more who are willing to go out of their way to protect others. New citizens wouldn't move here so much. I'm not saying that I don't want ponies and griffins to live here. I'm just curious as to why they'd move here and not a place that isn't under Enclave control.
They don't want to go halfway across the country just to find a safe place to live, Pokerchip said. In basic terms, it's because Saints Parish is closer than a larger settlement that they could go to that are safe. No one wants to travel hundreds of miles to go to a safe place just because another place is closer is under the hoof of ponies like the Enclave. Put yourself in their place. Sure, the Enclave sucks, but at least they won't be killed in their sleep by raiders or eaten by mutilated monsters.
Kitty sighed. What about the kingdom? It's not that far away from here, and I've heard that they take in just about anyone who wants to get away from the Enclave.
Bitmap chuckled. They do, but from what I know, the place is nice to live. And the problem is that a lot of ponies who come here don't trust zebras, and for good reason. The Empress is a zebra who's married to a pony. A lot of ponies out there are thick-headed about that kind of thing. There are way too many ponies here that still can't seem to forget the war, Poker Chip said. A war, mind you, that's been over for 200 years. Aside from the zebra gangs in Annapolis, I don't really see a problem with befriending one. Hell, having a zebra rule over us would be a lot better than the damned Enclave. It almost makes me miss New Pegasus. Almost, Bitmap said, laughing heartily. Poker Chip joined in the laughter. That's a hard decision right there. Go back to New Pegasus that ruled by a mysterious pony in a tower and deal with the numerous factions fighting for control, or stay in this goddess's forsaken place. I heard there's a mare who's called the Courier out in New Pegasus. Some say she's the heroine the wasteland needs.
I've heard a lot about her too, although I'm not sure I believe all the stories. Who could really destroy a town like Appleton with a single shot? Kitty said.
Bitmap played another sound that reminded me of the blast the BEL of Gator had. A couple of well-placed balefire regs could do it. Yeah, but not with one shot. Appleton was a big place. I just think some ponies making up crazy stories again, Poker Chip said. Remember a few years back when there were rumors running around about a stallion the ponies called the Burned Buck? And they said he used to be the Khazar's right hoof zebra who was burned alive for betraying him or something, and was starting resistance? Turned out to be nothing more than an old pony telling tales in Cartwheel.
Yes, but DJ Pony wasn't talking about him all the time like he is the Courier, Kitty said. Honestly, if she's as dangerous as they say, I'd like her to come here and give the Enclave a run for their caps.
Yeah, because that's just what we need right now. More fighting in the city, Bitmap said. At the very least, maybe she could scare away some of the gangs. That alone would be a great help, Poker Chip said thoughtfully. Speaking of which, I almost forgot. Reports say that one of the council ponies is heading to Mill City Tower to meet with some of the snobs who live up there. That's very unusual. Which pony is it? Bitmap said, sounding surprised. From what I heard, it's the new guy, Nightshade. Haven't found out why he's here yet, but I do know he's on his way if he isn't in the damned city already.
Maybe that's why the sins have been showing up as of late, Kitty said.
Poker Chip jumped at that. I don't think so. All reports say that Nightshade hates the sins. He wouldn't have them watching his back. If he was a High Council member, I'm sure he would disband them all.
Have you ever met him, Poker Chip? Kitty asked.
Thanks, Celestia, I haven't. The stories about him give me the chills, he said.
Well, I have, and trust me, you don't want to. The stories are true. He's a scary pony, one who wouldn't want to mess with, Kitty said, making a shivering sound like she was cold.
When did you meet him, Kitty?
Bitmap asked. When I was younger. He used to be one of the guard captains here in the Twin Cities.
Oh, now that's a story I'd like to hear, Poker Chip said.
There isn't much to it. As you all know, I lost my parents when I was young and had to fend for myself. I was attacked by a gang in a back alley. This is when I was still living on the edge of Annapolis, close to Saints Parish. Nightshade came out of nowhere and told them to leave me alone. They outnumbered him 20-1, but that didn't seem to bother him one bit. When they tried to attack, he killed every last one of them in no time, Kitty explained.
Damn. Now that'd scare anyone. Though if he saved your life, he can't be that bad, Bitmap said.
Kitty laughed. Yeah, sure. He told me after they were dead that I should find a new place to live or I'd end up same as the rest of the ponies who attacked him. The way he spoke, it was like he had no soul. His words were cold as ice.
Now I really don't think I want to meet a pony that can scare you, Kitty. You scare me as it is when you're pissed off, Poker Chip said.
Kitty laughed again. This time it sounded more amused. I'm a griffin. We're all scary.
I'm not scared of you, Kitty, Bitmap said as though he was mocking Poker Chip. I'm smart enough to stay on your good side, so I have no need to worry. They all laughed for a few seconds. Then Poker Chip said, Be that as it may, I'd still suggest that every pony stay away from Annapolis for a while. There will be at least 10 times more patrols around Mill City Tower than normal with Nightshade around. If he's there, I'm sure a couple more on the High Council are too. Good point, Pokerchip. We should also remind ponies out there to be on the lookout for the sins as well. It's bad enough that envy's been spotted around the kingdom, but I've also gotten reports that a new pride, along with 2 others. Whatever they are out here, you don't want to be the pony they turn their sights on, Bitmap said.
I'll go out after this and see what I can dig up. If they're a pony out there, it would only be right that we try to warn them, Kitty said.
And that's if he or she even listens to the show, Pokerchip said.
I'd still like to try,
Kitty retorted. Pokerchip laughed lightly. Agreed. Well, that's all we have for now, folks. I'm Pokerchip. I'm Bitmap.
And don't forget Kitty.
And this has been Up and Atom, coming to you from our secret location somewhere in Saints Parish. Have a good day and stay safe. When the outro was finished, a new song came on the radio. I turned it down and looked back at Aura, who was looking at the far wall as the show ended. Well, that was definitely different than any show I've heard before. I'm not sure if they were bullshitting each other, trying to warn ponies about things, or reporting the news, Aura said, confused. Maybe all 3? I said, shrugging. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. Pokerchip and Bitmap used to be the hosts of the Radio New Pegasus, before they moved up here. Tripwire loved to listen to them, and said they were funny, but I never gave them a listen. It's a nice change from either the DJs in your face kind of news or Mr. New Pegasus with his calm and kind of boring reports. She laughed. You're just happy that they didn't start spreading words about you. And there is that. And from the sound of it, they don't buy all the stories about me either, even if they are true. I'd just like a few days to be able to do what I need without any radio pony talking about me all the time, I said, laying back and letting my body float in the water as I thought. I, for one, would like to be able to just lay in this bath for hours without needing to do anything, or the water getting cold, Aura said. Agreed, I said as I looked up at the dark ceiling. My thoughts were rolling around with what needed to be done and a few other things. A quick flash of Aura falling in the bath came back to me, the sight of her rear filling my thoughts. I blinked and shook my head. Damn it. Go away, dirty thoughts about my friends. Why does this keep happening to me? I thought I was past this kind of thing by now. I should be planning on what to do about Stardust. One good thing. At least they said Stardust was spotted around here too. It looks like he did follow us like you said he would. Yeah, but from the sounds of it, he didn't come alone, I said, trying to get my mind back on the topic at Hoof. Did you expect him to come alone? You should know by now that the sins don't ever work alone. I know, but I was hoping he'd bring, greed, not envy. They said 2 showed up, and others were spotted too. It's gotta be damn near impossible to trap him with the other 3 sins around. Especially envy, I said, thinking about the battle that's sure to come between me and my friends. Envy won't be a problem if you can get Cutter to get you one of those bug whistles, Aura said. Not a bad idea. And if the others are with him, Lust and Sloth, we might be able to handle them. I don't know what Lust is weak against, but at least she seems like a normal Pegasus, just with a strange spear that extends, I said. And a smoking hot body. That is a weapon all on its own against the right pony. Ah! Fuck you, dirty brain! Sloth is just strong and fast. But from what Doorstop said, he can't fight for long before he needs to rest. If we can hold him off and take care of Lust, that won't be a problem. But what if Wrath's with him? I'm not worried about Wrath. He's too much of a coward to fight me head on. All he's good at is killing ponies from a distance, and so far, my luck has held out when it comes to him. I also have a feeling greed did something to him back when we first bought Stardust to my mother. Why do you think that? She asked, while pulling out one of the feathers on her head. Because he fired a single shot at us, then just stopped. He's not a pony to just take a shot and run away.
I think Reed was there too, and he did something to get Wrath to stop his attack, I said as my body slowly floated along the surface of the bath. Well, if he did, then we may owe him for your life. Maybe, I said. Then I felt the top of my head bump against Aura's chest. I was about to say something when I felt her talons grab my shoulders, keeping me from drifting away any further. I opened my eyes and looked up at Aura. She was looking down at me with a strange expression on her face. In that moment, my heart started to pound as my red eyes met her icy blue ones. I tried to talk again, but it felt like there was a rock stuck in my throat. I blushed, wanting to look away, but I couldn't. Something about the way she was peering down, deep into the griffin's soul. It was captivating. Behind that hard exterior was a fragile girl who just wanted to be seen, but was too scared to let herself out. She was scared of how a pony like me would react if her true self was revealed. That small look in her eyes told me more about my friend than I ever thought I would know about her. I knew before that Aura was starting to have feelings for me more than just friendship, but I figured it was because she missed tripwires so much and something about me reminded her of the mare she lost. I was wrong. She didn't just see her lost love when she looked down at me. She saw me. That look was the look of someone who wanted to be understood, and loved for who she was without judgment. Aura loved me, more than just how I loved Silver. This wasn't lust or longing. It wasn't her trying to capture what she used to have with Tripwire either. I have no idea how I knew any of this. Something deep down told me I was right. How could I have missed it? How long had you been feeling this way about me? I was so shocked, at the same time, a little confused on what I should say or do, that I couldn't even say anything. The worst part was that I was feeling something too, but what was it? I don't really know how you're supposed to feel when you like someone like that. I was only just starting to understand what it was like to be with somebody else when I started my relationship with Silver. Before her, I just lusted after my best friend. The room was quiet. Oh, so quiet. I swear I heard my heart pounding. Aura's head was moving down towards mine as she started to say something finally. Shadow. Her face was close to mine. I could feel her breath on my forehead and horn. Then something fell on the floor, making a loud thump. I jumped and looked away from Aura's intense gaze, moving to stand against the bath, looking around for what just made that noise. What was that? Aura looked around, then pointed toward an empty Sparkle Cola bottle lying on the floor. I think that fell off the shelf. I looked up at the long shelf that was eye level with the other side of the bathroom. There was a few empty Sparkle Cola bottles there. Yeah? But who knocked it down? I'm not sure, Aura admitted. I looked back at her and saw she was blushing fiercely. I think I should get out of the tub. I think the heat's getting to my head. I stepped out of the bath and grabbed a mostly clean-looking towel and started to dry my mane as quickly as I could. Once it was no longer dripping, I grabbed my mane ties and started to redo my braid. My heart was still pounding in my chest, and I couldn't get the image of Aura's head coming closer to my own as we looked into each other's eyes. It was just something about finishing when I heard Aura say in a quiet voice, "Please don't go." I froze for a moment, then finished with the last tie, saying quietly, "I need to check up on a few things before the others get back." I started walking out of the bath, my mind whirling from the swelling of emotions I felt running through me. Aura spoke again right as I turned the corner. I'm a fool. I knew I should stop. I should turn around and talk to her. I couldn't run away. Try to hide the feelings that I had, but I'm a coward. I can jump into a fight with a raider to save my friends, go into a stable with no idea what to expect. I could take on the 7 sins of Equinity and the Enclave without a second thought. But I couldn't face the one thing in the wasteland that wanted to love me. I kept on walking, doing my best to ignore the sounds of soft sobbing following out of the bathroom. I left the room and started to walk down the hall. I sniffed and held back the tears I could feel welling up. Don't love me, Aura. I'm the fool who'll get you killed in the end. That's all I'm truly good at, getting the one I love killed. You should leave and find someone else who can love you back the way you deserve.
I have no idea how long I walked around the mansion. Didn't even really pay attention to where I was going. I passed by ponies now and then, even a couple zebras as I wandered trying to clear my head. The problem was that it wasn't helping at all. It didn't matter how far I walked or where I went. I just kept on thinking back to that moment. What was wrong with me? What I saw was nothing. It was just my lonely, broken heart trying to reach for something that was impossible. I didn't have feelings for Aura. She was a griffin. Even if she was an attractive and fun, she was still a griffin. I liked ponies. I wasn't like Tripwire. She was the pony who could see past the griffin in front of her and see Aura for what she was. I wasn't like that. I only cared about what looked good and who would be fun to do things with. I lived in my own head when it came to a relationship, because how could anyone love a messed up, broken mare like me? Plus, how would it work with her having a beak and... God, it's his damn dirty thoughts about my friends.
Silver loved the mare you are.
A yellow Pegasus in my head said. Great! Now I'm imagining Fluttershy trying to give me advice. The next thing I know, Twilight Sparkle's gonna show up and try and teach me about the magic of friendship and how to properly organize my guns.
She's right, darling. Don't sell yourself short. There's nothing much to love about you.
An imaginary version of Rarity said. Okay, I'll play along. What do you two know anyway?
We know that you should go back and talk to her. You know that you care about her too,
Fluttershy said. Of course I do. She's my friend. But I can't be the pony that Tripwire was for her, and she's a griffin. I almost yelled. Good thing nobody was around. I'd look like a nut job right now.
Why does it matter what she is? You can't help who you fall in love with,
Twilight said next. Yep, now I've lost it. Miss Magic herself was in my head. It does matter. It's not natural.
Nothing in the wasteland is, Shadow. Why would this be any different?
Fluttershy asked. Okay, I'm not talking to you through this anymore. Go away and leave me alone, I said, shaking my head hard. I have enough problems with Aquila. I don't need 3 ministry mares in my head, too. There just isn't enough room. I swear at this rate I'm going to either start going completely nuts, or start talking to random inanimate objects, or develop chronic headaches. When I stopped shaking my head like a wet dog trying to dry itself, the mares were gone. I sighed, then looked around, trying to figure out where the hell I was. I was at the end of a long hallway, standing in front of a large door with stars on it. I tried the door handle and found it was locked. I opened the door slowly and saw a set of stairs that curved upwards. It looked like a tower, but I didn't remember seeing the tower when I first laid eyes on the mansion.
I see that you have found the Star Tower, Shadow,
Sheena said from behind me. I practically hit the ceiling when she spoke. I looked back at her. Are you trying to kill me, Empress? She was laughing from under the hood of a long black cloak.
I was not, but it was very funny to watch you jump. Why are you all the way on this side of the mansion?
I sighed and looked around. I needed some air, so I thought I'd just walk around. She moved closer to me. Do you want to go up and see? Huh? See what?
The Star Tower, my dear. The pony who built this place used to love mapping the stars. He wanted to know everything about them,
she explained. Sounds interesting. But why would you want to have a place like that in your home? I thought zebras feared the stars. She smiled at me.
We do, but we also respect them. Most ponies seem to remember one part, but forget the rest. My tribe used the stars as guides when we would wander the harsh desert. It is a tradition passed down for over generations. My tribe knew many things about the stars and the power that they held, but we respected that power and never tried to use it for our own gain. Not like the Star Cattery.
I heard a long sigh before she spoke, as I asked, what are the Star Cattery?
They are a tribe of zebras that are shunned among my kind. They use dark arts and the power of the stars for themselves. In our legend, it is said that they are marked by the sun, so that all zebra kind would know who they are, and what they were. That way, they could never fool us. But that is a story for another time.
We reached the top. She opened the stone door, and I found myself in a large domed room. There weren't any walls to speak of, it just looked like the dome itself reached all the way from the floor. The room was mostly barren, apart from a single sphere in the center, and a large round diamond or crystal sitting on top of it, and a desk and a chair a few feet away. The rest of the room was very dark. The only light in the room seemed to come from a round object. So, how does a room like this help you see the stars? I asked. She laughed joyfully. This room is a planetarium. That crystal in the center can project a view of the stars and planets. Here, I will show you. She walked over to the crystal and lightly ran a hoof over its polished surface. The glow within grew brighter, then with a flash the walls around us erupted into magical imagery of the night sky. The night sky that no pony in the wasteland could see because of the Enclave's cloud cover. The sight almost brought tears to my eyes as I saw the millions of small white lights fill the room with its beauty. This is beautiful. She smiled and nodded. I know. It is a perfect replication of the night sky. Sadly, it is the closest I have ever come to seeing the stars for myself. Other zebras I know say that the cloud cover is a good thing, because it keeps the influence of the stars away from us all. I disagree, as much as harm as I know that they can do. But there are good stars up there as well, and to hide away the beauty that they all have, made for us to see, is the biggest crime of the Enclave. I started to walk around the room, looking at different clusters of stars. When I looked at them, I started to see that some looked like they were shaped in such a way that they almost were kind of like pictures. Some of them look like they're shaped like animals. You have a good eyeshadow. They do. She ran a hoof over the crystal again, and a moment later, lines appeared around some of the stars, forming connect-the-dot type pictures over the night sky. She walked closer to me and pointed at one that looked like a giant griffin. This is Erula, the fighter. She is said to be a mighty warrior from the time before Equestria was discovered, a time when war was tearing the Griffin's world apart. She was the Griffin who brought the Griffins together to fight off the mighty attack from dragons. I looked back at her. Is that true? She shrugged. I am not sure, but as most stories or legends go, there has to be some truth to it. Look at this one. She pointed to another. This is Zeta. He was a great scholar of the zebra. His story says that he was the one who helped shape the way my kind lives and worships the night sky. His story is true to a point, but in reality he was a mad zebra that ended up killing himself. But he was the zebra whose ideas were used to build the first great city in the zebra lands. Something from the notes about the Stargazer came up to me, and I had to ask, have you ever heard of something called Aquila? She looked at me with a twinkle in her eye. Here I thought a pony from a stable would not know anything about these stars. I blushed a little. I really don't, but I read about it in some of my mother's notes. She used to be in the Enclave, and I think she had a love of the stars. What is Aquila? She started to look around the night sky that was shining on the walls, then moved back to the crystal and ran her hoof over it again. The stars around us moved suddenly, then a section of the stars zoomed in to a few clusters. It looked like an upside-down triangle, with a line going up, then turning on the side. 3 stars forming the last line. Aquila is the oldest constellation that was recorded. Aquila means eagle in our tongue. The constellation is made up of 10 stars. In our beliefs, it is the stars of Aquila are shining brightly in the sky. It is an omen for good fortune, she said with a smile, looking at the strange formation of stars. More like an omen of doom, if you ask me, I said quietly. Her ear twitched as I spoke, and her turquoise eyes fell on me. Why do you say that? No reason. And trust me, it's a long story that I don't feel like talking about right now. I have enough on my mind. I don't need to add that headache to it, I said, looking away from the stars that my personal inner bitch was named after. You look troubled, Shadow. Is there something bothering you? I sighed. Can I ask you something? You just did, but yes, you may, she said, giggling, giving me a wink and a smile. Is it possible for a star to possess some pony? She started to laugh.
Shadow, you do have a good sense of humor. I'm not joking. I really want to know. She stopped laughing, then looked thoughtful. As far as I know from the old stories, no. The stars can grant power to a pony or a zebra if they ask for it. It always ends badly for the one who takes that kind of power. The only stars that would grant power to any pony or zebra are always evil. As for possession, our bodies could not handle the massive power that something like the star has. Why do you ask something like that? No reason. It's just something that 2 unicorns I met a few weeks ago said. We have stories about zebras who are so-called possessed by a star, but in reality they were taken over by a demon of the stars. What's the difference? Demons of the stars are creatures that are created by the stars. We call them star spawn. Ponies know them as things like the Ursa Major or things like that. Some star spawn will take over a host and use the body to gain more power, so they can wreak havoc on the land. Though I am not a storyteller, so I only know so much. I thought Aquila was trying to take over my body. Was it possible she was one of these star spawns, or was she created by the children to replace old zebra myths? Whatever she was, Minette felt it was proper to name her after this constellation. Shadow, if I may pry a little more, what else is bothering you? Why were you really walking around my home instead of resting with your friends? Sheena asked, walking over and shutting down the crystal. My thoughts fell back to Aura, and I had to hold back my emotions for a moment before I could answer her. I'm not really sure. My head is wrapped around in knots right now, and I can't seem to find anything out in my head. Follow me, she said, moving to a spot of the domed wall. She pushed on something, and a moment later, a door opened in the wall. I followed her as she led me to a balcony that wrapped around the tower, giving me a wonderful view of the city. This is a good place to relax and think. I come here every night to look over the city my husband and I lead and protect. It helps me to clear my head. Now, tell me, what has you so bothered? Is it your friend Aura? My eyes went wide as I asked, Why would you say that? She blushed a little, then smiled, lifting a part of the black cloak she had on. I hate admitting this, but I have a bad habit of spying on new ponies who come to stay in my home. Not out of distrust or anything like that, mind you, but I have found it easier to understand ponies, or whatever I protect, when they are alone. You were spying on us? How? Distrust or not, that's plain creepy. This cloak is known as a zebra stealth cloak to ponies. To a zebra, we call it a mistwalker's cloak. As Sheena spoke, a shimmer ran up and down the cloak and her body vanished. A moment later, she reappeared on the other side of me. It makes it so that I can go around my home unseen and unheard. I remembered the bottle falling from the ground. So it was you who knocked over that bottle? She giggled and winked. Not my best moment. I saw you with Aura and did not want to interrupt anything, so I was turning to leave. I bumped the shelf as I turned and was not quick enough to stop the bottle from falling. I did not know you two were so close. I felt my cheeks warm up with a blush as I said, It wasn't what it looked like. She looked at me with a funny look of hers. From what I saw, you two looking at each other the same way, why, my husband and I look at each other when we were younger. I sighed again, looking back over the city. Aura likes mares. She used to be in a relationship with a pony named Tripwire a couple years back. She lost her to raiders a couple months ago as well. Do you think that Aura is looking at you as some kind of replacement for her lost love? Because when I saw the way she looked at you, Shadowstar, she cares very deeply. Aura lost her talent company. Then she lost the mare she loved. She's lovely and wants someone to love her. I know that and I understand. I was alone when I had to run from my stable. I was lucky enough to make friends. I even found a mare who loved me. In the past few weeks, I've lost my friends, my home, and my mare friend. Aura was there through all of it, sticking by my side and helping me when I needed it.
She's a great friend and loyal as hell. I couldn't ask for someone better than her. Do you love her, Shadow? I looked back at Sheena, wide-eyed. I don't know. I mean, she's a griffin, and we're so different. I don't even know what real love feels like. Silver and I didn't have enough time to build our relationship. All we did was fool around a couple of times before she was taken by the Enclave and later killed. Sheena's eyes got a faraway look. Love is the most wonderful thing in the world, Shadow. There is nothing else like it. Your heart starts to race. You cannot seem to find the right thing to say, and it is hard to breathe. The sight of the one that you love will always fill you with joy just by having them walk into the room. But you see, my young mare, that is only the beginning. When you are in love with whomever, you cannot see your life without them. You cannot fight with them, and you can end up laughing at the end, or making love, depending upon the fight. They are the one that you always want to see happy, and you will do anything to see them smile. It is also the scariest thing you will ever experience. Some of what she said was how I felt when I was around Aura. But I did love her. Or was I just lonely? I'm not sure. It doesn't matter anyway, Sheena. Why do you think that? I sighed. I'm a curse to the ones I love. If I was with Aura, I'd end up losing her in the end, just like I lost Silver, my mom, Stardust, my father, and my stable. Shadow, you cannot live your life in fear. I rounded on her. What do you know? You just met me today. You have no idea what it's like to lose as much as I have. To fear what'll happen if you let someone in your life only to have them taken away from you. She frowned at me. I lost my family, my tribe, was forced to be a warrior or to be made a slave. I had to leave the land I grew up in to escape it. I know more than you would think. But I did take a chance, and now my life is better for it. My eyes fell shut as she said that. I turned and looked back over the city. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. But still, I don't even know how I feel about Aura. I think you are too scared to admit how you feel, not because you are worried about what would happen to her. No, I think you are scared about how others will see you. I don't care how other ponies say about me. I honestly don't. Sheena interrupted me. Stop lying to yourself, Shadow. I rounded on her. Fine. You want me to say it? I can't get Aura out of my head. Most of the time I can't stop thinking about her. I think to myself how lucky Tripwire was to have someone like Aura love her so much. Enough that she risked being banished from the Red Talons for her. I wondered to myself what it would be like to wake up every morning and see her lying next to me. The way she looked at me earlier made me realize that I wanted to see that every day of my miserable life. And yes, I'm scared. But not because I care about what others would think about me or what they'd say. I grew up with ponies teasing me and talking about me behind my back because I was different. No, I'm scared because I have something living inside me that's going to take over my body one day, and I don't want Aura or any of my friends to die because of me. I'm a ticking time bomb, just waiting for the right moment to go off. She took a step back and then smiled a little. See, that is all that you needed to do. You needed to admit to yourself that you love her. Didn't you hear a single thing I said, Sheena? I can't love her. I don't want her to be around when I finally lose myself to whatever's inside of me. I heard you just fine, Shadow. I just chose to ignore that part. I could tell that something was inside of you from the very first moment that we met. It doesn't matter, 'cause you cannot let your fear rule your life, she said calmly. It's not fear, it's fucking fact. Fact or not, you cannot let what's inside of you control your way you live your life. Wait a minute. How could you tell I had something inside of me? She laughed again. I am a zebra. We understand the world in a different way than ponies. We have a kind of sixth sense when it comes to things like this that we have to do with the heavens and the stars. I still do not think it matters, because you are a strong mare, and I believe you can overcome the creature that lives inside of you. The best way to do this is to let yourself find love. Creatures of the stars do not understand these kinds of feelings. You never know. Loving Aura may just be the thing that saves you. I looked at my hooves. I don't want her to die because of me. Couldn't live with myself if that happened. She moved close and hugged me. Then she whispered in my ear. No matter what may happen in the future, you cannot let it rule your present. The future is always changing, ever flowing. You are the only pony that can decide who you will become. Keep fighting the mare you want to be, and stop letting the fear of the unknown decide what will happen. I sniffed and pulled away. You really think I can make something work with Aura? Even with everything that could happen and our differences? Being different is what makes a good relationship work. You will understand later when you meet my husband. We are nothing alike, but that is what makes us perfect. Maybe you're right, Sheena. I should go talk to Aura about how I feel. I agree, though first let me talk with her. I heard what you said when you left. She may need to talk to someone first. Head back to your room in a couple of hours and then talk with her. Can you do that? I nodded. Yeah, I'm sure I heard her when I left. But what are you going to say to her? She winked, then turned. That is between Aura and I, and just how our conversation is between you and I. I watched as the Empress walked back to the domed room and disappeared. I waited a few minutes, then decided when I should take a walk. Maybe look around the kingdom while I waited for Sheena to talk to Aura. I looked down at the ground far below, then concentrated my magic and teleported to the courtyard. When that was done, I headed past the gates and started to walk back to the city. I needed to think about what Sheena said and get my head on straight, so when I talked to Aura, I could tell her how I felt without stuttering or doing anything. I walked around for an hour, trying to see what the kingdom was like, but it was late and most of the shops were closed. And as much as I would have loved to go into one of the bars, I knew that showing up drunk later wasn't the best idea. Now I had no idea where I was at. As I walked, I hadn't been watching where I was going. Too stuck in my own thoughts to watch where I was going, I guess. I vaguely remembered walking through one of the gates and ignoring the guards as they said something about being careful. I'm the fucking courier, I can handle myself. Now I was in the outer part of the kingdom. It was mostly ruins. The buildings had mostly collapsed with either age or a big fight. The wall that protected the city itself was built to keep this part of the old city out of the new one. The problem with that was that the ruins I was in was a maze of destroyed buildings and broken up streets and shops. A lot of ponies must have died here when the bombs went off, because there were bones around every corner as well as littering the streets. It was creepy here. A low mist settled close to the ground, making it hard to see. It was also peaceful in a way. No pony was around to bother me and it was quiet. When I first walked into it, I figured I wouldn't need my armor or weapons. I was still in the territory of the kingdom, and it seemed like no pony bothered any pony within the kingdom's lands. But the longer I walked on the empty streets, the more I wish I had my stuff with me. If I keep heading in the same direction, I should find my way out of here. I picked a direction and started to follow the road towards it. The street I was on ended up being blocked by a fallen building, so I had to find my way around it. It took me half an hour, but soon as I was back, heading the same way I was before. A few moments later, and I could see the edge of the ruins. I sighed with relief. Finally. I headed for a break in the buildings. The far wall of the kingdom, in sight, just past the breaks. I hope Aura will forgive me for what I said. I hope I was reading her right, too. I hated to tell her how I feel, only to have her tell me she didn't feel the same way I thought I did. I stopped and face-hoofed. I was talking to myself. Again. Every time I'm alone for too long, I do this. Oh well, it's not like any pony was around to say anything about it. I'll talk to myself if I want to, and everyone else can just go fuck themselves. I started to walk again, finally passing the last building in the destroyed ruins. Then my face planted into an invisible barrier. Are you kidding me? I looked around for what or who could have set something like this up, but nothing showed on my EFS. I was about to yell out for some pony to show themselves when I felt a drop of water on my muzzle. Another moment passed, and it was soon a downpour. I sighed and shook my head, trying to get the water out of my mane, to no avail. Yeah. Not only did the wasteland find a way to trap me inside a ruin, it had to throw a storm in there too.
A flash of lightning lit up the darkened skies for a moment, followed by a crack of thunder. So, not a rainstorm, a fucking thunderstorm. Fuck you, wasteland. I turned back towards the ruin, looking for a place I could use to take shelter until one of my friends came looking for me, or until the storm passed so I could try and find a way out of this fucking place. This was what I get for wandering off and ignoring the guards. Now I'm going to be wet, cold, and pissed. A loud menacing chuckle filled the air before I took 3 steps. I felt a chill run up and down my spine as the sound followed another flash of lightning and the sound of thunder. I checked my EFS again, but still no pony was showing up. Is some pony out there? The wind picked up and the rain fell harder, but no pony responded. Okay, maybe I'm just letting my paranoia and fear get to me. I started walking again, heading towards the mostly intact shop not far away. There was a loud crack, but not from lightning, from a rifle. The ground in front of me exploded with sharp bits of rock as a bullet ripped into the cracked pavement. I jumped back and started to look around again. Stardust? Is that you? A deep voice that I recognized all too well filled the air around me. Guess again, courier. My ears fell and my eyes went wide. Wrath. Bingo! Welcome to the Absent Ruins. He was projecting his voice like he did the last 2 times I ran into him. He had to be somewhere around here, though. With his skills as a sniper, he could stay out of range with my EFS. Wrath, I thought you gave up on killing me. What made you think that, courier? You didn't do it when I was fighting Stardust and Cloak. You had a gay trance, and then you just didn't take it. Why? I was ordered to leave you to Cloak and Pride. I took a shot at you to keep you from running off, that was all. I guess that's all you're good at, isn't it? Taking sheep shots instead of, fighting me like a stallion? I said, walking down the road. I heard his deep, insane laugh fill the air around me. Courier, I'm a sniper. Cheap shots are what I do. If you don't like it, then you should have killed me back at Frosty Summit. Now it's too late. You fell into my trap, and the only way you'll get out of this is if you either kill me or you die. Let me guess. Stardust is with you too, isn't he? His laughter grew more insane. Pride? No, it's just me. I told you back at Frosty Summit that I was going to kill you myself. I don't need help from the rest of his failing team of misfits. The old Pride is dead. I thank you for that. He was a monster that needed to be wiped off the face of Equus. Sadly, I can't forgive you for what you did to Monsoon. I sighed, then rolled my eyes. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to either. Though I'm surprised you're still working for the Sins since Pride was killed. I can't leave the Sins so easily. I'd be hunted down and killed for my so-called crimes against my family. Even if I could, I'd still stay on his wrath just so I could kill you. Now listen to me closely, because we're gonna play a game. Fuck your games and your bullshit, Wrath. You know how this is gonna end? You can't kill me. You're not even close enough to being strong enough to. Normally, yes. But you rocked right into my hooves, with no armor, no weapons, and most importantly, no friends. He said, laughing louder. Now, we're gonna play my game. If you win, you get to kill another member of the Sins and walk away here free as a bird. But if I win, you die. Fine. What kind of game did you have in mind? Are we gonna play tag? I said in a mocking voice. Deep down, I knew how much shit I was in. Wrath may be a blowhard, but he was dangerous and I had nothing to fight him with. Nothing so childish. All you have to do is find me and avoid my shots. If you do that and manage to take me out, then you win.
Doesn't seem fair if you ask me. I have nothing to keep me safe in your little game.
Then I guess you'll have to hope you can outrun my bullets and outsmart me.
He chuckled again. Did Stardust put you up to this, or was it envy or one of the others? I'm asking because this is a new low, even for you.
Pride has nothing to do with this. He has no idea I'm even here. Cloak gave us orders to find you and let her know as soon as we did. None of us are allowed to kill you.
Seems kind of stupid then that you settle this up. I'm sure she'll be pissed when she finds out.
I don't give two shits what Cloak or this new Pride says. Tonight, you die, courier, and I'll finally get my revenge on what you did for my brother.
He screamed, his magically enhanced voice echoing off the walls.
This area is surrounded by a magical barrier that you can't break or get through. A little gift from a friend of mine. The only way you can get out is if you win.
I turned around again, trying to figure out where he was hiding. Show yourself, you poor excuse for a unicorn! Another shot rang out, and the bullet grazed my cheek. It was only by an inch. If it was an inch closer, I'd be goner.
Be honored I'm even giving you a chance to play. Normally, I'd just blow your head off before you knew what hit you. But I'm a fair pony. Now, courier, prepare yourself. I'm Wrath the Furious, 6th member of the 7 Sins of Equinity, and your executioner.
Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Magnetic personality. Why does everyone like you? Who cares? You can now travel with more companions without affecting your special attributes. You also gain interesting dialogue with other ponies when you have more than 2 companions in your party, and certain boosts to some of your special attributes, depending upon who you